theater doesn't open until an hour, and I have nothing to do. Let's see. What's going on across the street? That VHS store that's been around for years is still operating? Are you kidding me? You know what? I should give them a call. Let's see how they're doing. Alright, let's see how Move Out Video is doing right now. Right, got a new stack of DVDs, so let's put them on the shelf for the customers. Alright. Move Out Video, this is Matthew. How may I help you?
What up, Matthew?
Oh, hello, Braylon. How's the VHS store running, man? Because I have not seen customers come into your store in years. Let's be for real, man. No one buys VHSs anymore. I'll have you know, Braylon, that we don't just sell VHS tapes. We sell DVDs, too. Ugh. Oh my gosh, Matthew. No one buys DVDs either. Physical media is dead. I was just in my neighborhood the other day. This guy had a trash can just filled with DVDs. No one buys them anymore. Physical media is dead. It's all about going to the theater still and watching them like streaming and shit. Look, I'll have you know that physical media is not dying, and we still get a lot of customers coming in to Move Out Video. Like who? What customers do you have? Well, we have Gary and Crackhead Steve. But besides them, we get a lot of customers, so ha ha ha. Did you say Crackhead Steve? The same Crackhead Steve who snuck into my movie theater trying to watch Paw Patrol the movie while stoned out of his mind? That Crackhead Steve? Well, you know what, Matthew? If you have customers coming in, then fine, run your business. But just to let you know, your business is just gonna flat out die. You're gonna become the next Blockbuster. I'm surprised your business is still staying in. But you know what? You do you. I'm gonna run my successful movie theater, so see ya. Whatever. Goodbye. Alright, let's get back to... Oh, hey Crackhead Steve.
Yo, where's the adult movies at?
The adult section is over there.
Better have that Asian shit.
Alright, Good Burger 2. I'm here with Move Out Productions, Matthew.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, Good Burger 2, we just watched it not too long ago. It was a movie.
Yeah,
not a good movie, not a good movie.
Yeah, it was a movie, alright, but it wasn't a good movie.
It's
now I'm gonna
this
be a
whole
little...
movie, it's just... I personally thought the movie, like, going into it, I knew it was just gonna be mid. Like,
Oh.
I was hoping it could be at least a little enjoyable, you know, going in, but, you know, still not great. Nah,
Yeah.
it's not even mediocre, it's just... It's a bad movie, I think. It's just not good.
Exactly, and I remember after I watched it, I actually checked some of the reviews on YouTube about the movie. I just thought people were gonna dogpile on it, but no, people genuinely liked the movie, and I was like, really? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's their opinion, and that's fine. But I was just like so surprised that lots of people were liking the movie. But honestly, me and Braylon were talking about this earlier. We honestly think it's. I'm not trying to like be mean to the people who like it. If you like it, that's cool. But we honestly think a lot of the good reception is just like nostalgia. That's what we think.
And that's my problem with Good Burger 2. It feels like it was solely just made just so to cash in on like the 90s nostalgia.
Yeah, and that's something I want to get into real quick before we fully go into this movie and just rip it apart. Then we'll get all the like 40-year-old millennials just like talking shit about us, sending us death threats. Yeah.
Yikes! But keep going.
Oh lord, that would be terrible. But yeah, we talked about this earlier as well. But yeah, it's just like after Star Wars: The Force Awakens came out in 2015, there's just been like this whole like just this new how do you say it, just a big like boom of like revival TV shows, movies, and all that. Now don't get me wrong, yeah, they existed even before like 2015, but I think 2015 when Star Wars episode 7, right? 7?
7.
Yeah, 7. Okay.
Just
Yeah, when
boom.
Star Wars episode 7 came out, that's when the whole like, big boom of like revivals started to like happen. And like I said, there were revivals before, but they just didn't really pop up that often, if that makes any sense,
Yeah,
Or
and if they did, they won't. No one really cared about them.
Exactly, yeah.
It was really the internet that really solidified it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because when the Beavis and Butthead revival came out in 2011, that was the first revival. Like the first episode, like it was a hit, but the other like series, half of the series, like no one really cared about it. Yeah, but that was when the internet wasn't really that like huge.
It
Like
was
back
still in its primitive. How do you say it?
it was in like its caveman
Caveman age.
Yeah, that was back when you could just like film a video of yourself like drinking a ton of Mountain Dew and acting like an idiot. Then there you go, you got 1 million subs.
Yeah.
Or 1 million views, excuse me. But
And
yeah.
I guess getting on with conclusions, like there have been good ones, because I feel like
Oh, yeah.
some of the revivals can they can be made to like and give a conclusion to a show.
Oh
Like
yeah.
like Hey Arnold and Invader Zim, for example. Those shows never really got endings. They just kind of ended.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
with revivals like that, I respect those, because it's like we finally got the conclusion to what people wanted. But Good Burger 2 really had no purpose in being made but to cash in on nostalgia. The original Good Burger was, just a fun film that was based off like an All That sketch. It was just a fine film, but 25 years later they say, let's make a new one.
Now, the reason why those two other films you mentioned work because they were conclusions, because the other shows ended on cliffhangers. So I feel like those like movies are actually kind of necessary, to conclude the story. But in a situation like Good Burger 2, it's more of like a cash-in kind of thing.
Yeah, because like I said, Good Burger didn't even really have much of a story. It was, mainly a comedy, so there was really no
Exactly.
point in making another movie.
Yeah, there's really no point. I think Good Burger 1. Oh, by the way, I actually have Good Burger VHS right here. I had this since I was a kid. I stole this from my sister because we love Good Burger. Even though we didn't grow up in the '90s, like some of you like 40-year-olds watching this, like we love this movie. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, but this was a good standalone film. It really didn't need a sequel. Now, it did have a book sequel that me and Braylon are planning to check out someday. It's called Good Burger To Go, and that should have been the
Such
title.
a good title.
Yeah, Good Burger To Go. That should have been the title of Good Burger 2.
It's so clever, but what I like about the Good Burger To Go book is they knew, like, at the time that, like, there's no point in making a Good Burger sequel, so why not just make a little innocent, fun little book adaptation?
Yeah, it's kind of like what they did for Forrest Gump, because there was a sequel book. I believe so. I heard about a sequel book that was published a few years back, which was the sequel to Forrest Gump. And honestly, I can see why sometimes like film companies would just do sequel books, because if you have a movie that's like really really good, that there's just no way you can top it. There's just no way. Yeah, let's dive into it. So I made a list. I made a list of the issues we have with the second Good Burger movie. So let's begin with the lack of identity, which I think is a really big problem for this movie. Like throughout the movie, it was pretty much, the movie is just a big reference to like Good Burger 1, just a big tribute film. You see, the thing is, if you're making a sequel to a movie, it has to stand on its own. It has to sort of be its own thing, kind of like Clerks 2, for example. Clerks 2, it's pretty different from Clerks 1. Clerks 1 was more of like a slice of life kind of thing. Clerks 2 was kind of a straight up comedy, but still Clerks 2 was able to stand on its own, because like I said, if you're making a sequel, it needs to be its own thing. But this movie, it's really just a huge reference to the first movie.
Remember that happened in Good Burger 1? Look at that. That's from Good Burger
Yeah,
1.
exactly. It's just like, hey, look at this. This was in the first movie. Like, to be fair, they did make some reference in Clerks 2, but the thing is, those were like to a minimum. Like, you need to focus on the story, you know, you need to focus on showing a brand new story instead of, making a bunch of references, you know?
Yeah, while watching Good Burger 2, I was just saying to myself this whole time, why am I watching this when I can just go
Yeah.
watch the original Good Burger?
Exactly. Like when I was watching it too, I was thinking the same fucking thing. I was like, bro, I could be watching like Good Burger 1 right now. Yeah. And like I said before, it's just not it's just not its own thing. It doesn't even try to do something like different with the story or anything. It, like we said, just a big reference. And also the plot. We'll get into like the writing in a minute, but the plot was kind of just like all over the place.
It was like, I know like the first Good Burger movie wasn't like a huge story. It's not like Godfather level storytelling, but you know, it's a simple enough story. You know, two restaurants are colliding at each other. But you know, it's fine that the story's simple because, you know, the focus is obviously on the comedy. But with this movie, the plot's like all over the place. That kind of just takes me away from the comedy, which, speaking of the comedy,
Yeah.
it's not funny. I
Yeah.
do not think it's funny.
The one thing I want to talk about when it comes to the comedy of this film, like, let's go back to Good Burger 1 for a moment. You see, the comedy in Good Burger 1, like, yes, there'll be some times Ed just does random things, but most of the time Ed is doing like jokes that has a punchline, you know, like the remember the meat patty scene?
The meat patty is
Oh,
hilarious.
yeah.
Like, that actually is one of the
Fucking
most like iconic like
Yeah, but,
Nickelodeon scenes.
yeah, but what he says is true. You know,
It's true.
has-
Like,
a
he
meat
said
patty's
nothing
something.
on it. He said nothing.
Yeah, he said nothing, so he gave him nothing. It makes sense, you know?
Like, it's funny because it makes you think. It's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. You see,
Just a bun. Look, there's no meat in here.
But you said you wanted nothing on it.
Yes, well, I expected a meat patty.
Dude, a meat patty is something. You said nothing.
that's what I loved about like all the Good Burger sketches and stuff. Like Ed's the type of idiot that will take things like literally. Like I remember there was this one sketch in All That when this guy asked for like a good punch, so Ed just gives him a fucking nose.
Punched him in the fucking.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
man.
The beginning where like the construction worker wants like 2 good burgers, and then he says, no, you can't go in the back get some burgers. I have to give you them or something.
Oh yeah, and the part where like Ed is roller skating to work is hilarious when he
Oh,
has like the
yeah.
baby with the basketball and these basketball players are like tossing the baby. I thought that was funny. It's stupid, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Watch out! Baby coming through!
But it's just with this movie, it's more of just like random things with no punchline. You know, it's almost, I'm not trying to say it's almost like modern Family Guy humor, but it kind of reminded me of it just a tiny bit. It's sort of like, hey, like this guy's taking a shit. Funny, right? You know?
Exactly. And I feel like
Yeah.
some of the humor even tried to copy the first movie. You remember the scene in the first movie where Mondeberger hooks up Ed with that one chick to get the recipe for the sauce?
Yeah.
But Ed keeps like getting her hurt and all that.
This.
Oh no! Ooh, sorry.
They try to do that joke again with these people that try to have like Ed like sign the thing to like sell Good Burger
Yeah,
with
sell
them
Good
getting hurt. And it's like they tried to do the same joke again and it just doesn't work this time around.
No, I think it is pretty interesting. And okay, are we getting into spoilers for this video, or should we?
Who gives a shit about Good
Yeah,
Burger
okay.
spoilers?
Yeah, okay. So
Keep
basically, okay, what was really interesting about this movie? I will give the movie this. Like this time, Ed is the owner of the Good Burger, which I thought was an interesting take on the story. Yeah, I it's an interesting take, but they really done so little with it besides like Ed selling the place. You know, Like, you
And
gotta
it's just
think
kind of
about
all
it.
over the place.
Yeah, you gotta think about it. You know, remember that one scene in Good Burger 2 where Ed, like, you know, puts syrup in the soap?
Ooh, that's not soap, by the way. It's maple syrup.
Why would you have maple syrup in the bathroom?
For the pancakes!
Yeah.
Like, imagine if he just, like, let's say he becomes, like, okay, so let's say, okay, he's the owner of the place, so, you know, he's just gonna give the whole Good Burger his own, like, pizzazz, so he ends up just putting, like, soap in all the fucking, you know, soap dispensers in all the restrooms and shit, you know? Like, I think they
That
could have
would be
done something like that. They should have just had Ed, like, kind of fuck up the restaurant a little bit.
I said they had ideas, but they just, did nothing with them instead of just
Yeah.
making like stupid jokes, and like none of them were really funny.
Yeah, but with Ed, like, owning the fucking, like, restaurant, I think there was a lot of opportunities for Ed, you know, to you know, do all sorts of stupid shit, and that could have created, like, a lot of great jokes, you know? Like, I can probably think of a few off the top of my head. Maybe, like, Ed gets into an argument with, like, a customer because, I don't know, he, like, throws the pickles away in the fucking toilet or something.
Exactly.
Or maybe he just, like, leaves the pickles in the toilet and just, like, uses them or some shit.
He uses them.
Oh, yeah. And I thought of that off the top of my head, and that could definitely work, you know? Yeah, it's a little bit of, like, a gross out kind of thing, but still, you know?
Well, I mean, it works though. It's not just simple,
Yeah.
someone's taking a shit. It's
Yeah.
actually, funny.
Now, what would have been a better idea is that Ed owns the restaurant, but he's just a complete fuck up.
I kind of wish that was honestly more the story of the movie, just like Ed becoming the owner and like,
Yeah.
changing up I feel like that would have been a
Yeah.
much better story for the movie.
Yeah, maybe Ed, like, trying to become the owner of Good Burger after working there for so long. Yeah, that would have been a much better story.
Yeah, maybe he has to call in Dexter, like, for his help and all that. Like,
Yeah.
saying, like, my business is going down. I need help.
Yeah, exactly, you know? Yeah, and Dexter could have tried to help him, like, you know, become the owner or something, or maybe, like, I don't know, it's just, like, another thing I want to mention about Dexter, I think it was kind of like a shitty move for Dexter to kind of, you know, be greedy again, you know?
Yeah.
You
Because,
know what
I mean, I understand in the first movie, because he was, like, he was, like, a teen
Yeah.
in the first movie, but I feel like this time around, he's an adult. He should, like, know better by now.
Exactly. Yeah, he should know better. I just feel like that was a bad decision because, like, I think they should have, like, made his character a little bit more mature, but no, he's still pretty money hungry, you know, as he was when he was, like, a kid.
Yeah, and it just kind of like retcons the whole thing in the first movie with
Now,
when
to
people
be
were calling
fair,
out.
he kind of has the reason to be a little money hungry because he has to pay off, like, his, like, car he smashed and his what was that, his mom's car, or was that, like,
I think that was yeah.
Yeah, that was his mom's car, so he has to pay off, like, his mom's car and his teacher's car. Yeah.
Yeah, so it made sense. And like I said, he was a teen too, so it makes sense for him to be, money hungry like that. And he learns his lesson, at the end of the movie when that one chick like calls him out for it.
Mm-hmm.
So you would expect that he would learn his lesson like 25 years later, but he doesn't. It's just like
He doesn't learn his lesson. Yeah.
It's like this movie is like repeating like a lot of the same stuff that the first Good Burger did, but they're doing it in like one of the worst ways possible you could do.
Exactly. I think a better idea was maybe like Ed is at the verge of like signing off, the rights to Good Burger, but then Dexter just stops him.
And I
think
guess
that
I
would've
want
been
to
better.
talk about that too, with like these people trying to like get him to like sign it. Like on paper, it doesn't sound like a bad idea. People are trying to like buy Good Burger, but then once they do it, it just takes a different direction with like, oh, the person who's doing that is like the sister of like the Mondo Burger guy, and then now they're making Good Burger into like a computer thing. It felt like it just showed up just out of nowhere.
Exactly.
It just makes no sense. Well, like I said, I know Good Burger is not like the best storytelling, but at least make it have some sort of sense. I feel like they only made her the sister of the Mondo Burger guy just so, remember the Mondo Burger guy? He was in the first movie.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. They're just saying, "Oh, look!" It's kind of like the one Wojak meme. You know that one meme?
Yeah.
Look look over there, it's a reference to Good Burger 1. Like, bro.
All that.
like,
Yeah, and they talk about characters. So in the first movie, we had other characters besides Ed and Dexter. We had like the old man. We had that one chick that was Dexter was trying to hook up with, and
Yeah, Monique, right? Monique.
yeah, and just a few other minor characters. They weren't like huge characters or anything, but it was nice to see him. And the old guy I thought he was funny in the
Oh
first
yeah,
one.
he's dead now, so they couldn't.
Yeah, rest in peace. But I guess like, what's your opinion on like the characters this time around? Because we had like the twins and
Yeah, the one Indian kid who was the manager.
yeah, and then
And
there
then
was
we
like
had Dexter's nephew or something.
Dexter's nephew had like all of like Ed's kids and all that.
Yeah, Ed has like 7 fucking kids.
That was honestly the only thing. That was like honestly the only interesting thing I can say about any of those characters. Most of those
Yeah.
characters were just
They're
alright.
all just one dimensional. Like with the original cast, like don't get me wrong, the characters, they weren't really all that special, but they were kind of like fun. They had their own like personalities and everything.
They were fun. I mean, some of them were definitely one-dimensional, like that big
Yeah.
guy that just like doesn't talk.
Yeah,
He wasn't
yeah.
that great, but
He
like
ate a fucking fly off like a spatula or something.
yeah. But we had other ones, like I said, the old man,
Yeah.
Monique, the manager, which he's played by a man that we should not name. But
And the guy who says Hadio, what was his name? What the fuck? He's just like the drive-through guy or something.
he's the drive-through guy. Like they were cute
Yeah,
little.
they
kids.
brought him back in this movie. Like he was just frozen in that.
He was just frozen.
Yeah.
Which once
It's
again,
like that
though,
episode in SpongeBob where like
SB129.
Squidward gets yeah, when Squidward gets locked in there.
I mean, I guess it's kind of funny, but I mean, I'll give it that. It's obviously just a joke, being like, look, he was in the first movie. But I'll give it a props. I would say it's one of the better jokes in the movie, because I mean, it is kind of funny that this man would just be frozen for 20 years because Ed forgot to like open the door.
It's so fucked up.
That's kind of funny, but like I said, the rest of the movie is just.
Yeah, it's so fucked up because he said like he missed high school, college, and just half of his life. He was just
Yeah.
stuck in that fucking freezer. That would be depressing, bro. If
That
I
would
was
be
that guy,
depressing.
I would legit kick Dad's ass. Like, bro, you made me like. Yeah, it's just like you literally like ruined my fucking life. I never got to live like my full life past high school.
Yeah, so I guess that's like one joke I can say is it's kind of funny, just the fact that this guy was frozen, but. That's like really the only one I can think of, and even then, it's still one of those jokes where it's just like, well, I guess. Do you want to talk about like the pacing?
Yeah, the pacing was pretty bad.
To me, like even watching it, it was like this is off for some reason.
Yeah, I feel like the first Good Burger, it did a great job at like in the beginning the pacing was a little fast, but once they started getting into like the meat and potatoes of the story, the pacing started to slow down just a little bit. I feel like that was a good decision, but with this movie, it's like, oh, we're doing this, now we're doing this,
It's like all over the place. I feel like they're just like writing the story as they go on, like just no idea to it.
And the story isn't really all that great, like there's no like here's the one thing that kind of disappointed me. It wasn't like a like a crazy like fun adventure like the first one was, because the first one it was a simple plot, but the adventure was so much fun. Like
it's just these two competitors, reaching out, like, and then they make a sauce that like everyone loves, and they try to poison the sauce.
Yeah, and then they find out like the guys at Mondo Burger are using like illegal substances to like make the burgers a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And then they get locked up in a mental ward. Then they put damn shark poison in the sauce. Like, bro,
and I know like the asylum thing is like pretty out of hand, but you know what makes the asylum different though than this movie's crazy stuff? It's funny. The asylum stuff is hilarious. Like Ed starts dancing and stuff with all these insane people. It's funny.
It is hilarious. Yeah, but
and then he like
shark
hooks up
poison
with like
stuff.
this mentally insane chick. It's funny.
Honestly, they're meant for each other. They are meant.
They
for
are
each
meant
other.
for each other. They are like at the same level of
Ed
craziness.
fits right in with a mental ward. He fits right in with the mental ward.
Fits right
really.
in,
He'll
but
fit right in.
that's the thing though. Like it had its story and it was funny the whole time. This movie is just all over the place and it's not funny.
I still remember the part where like Dexter was playing cards with like the crazy people that kept eating the cards.
Yeah, look about us. We're talking more positive about the first movie than the second movie, which brings up the first problem is when you talk about the second movie, you just want to watch the first movie more.
And one thing I was going to mention real quick, the shark poison thing. Like when I was rewatching, I was like, "Holy shit, that is extreme!" Like Mono Burger is willing to kill people,
Willing to kill people just to get them out of the business.
That is so fucked up. They're willing to kill people just to get Good Burger out of business. Like,
but you remember when you see that scene, it stays in your mind. Like, oh my gosh. And that's the problem with this movie is I'm gonna be honest. I when I watched this movie, I forgot about most of it. I had to watch it a second time because how forgettable it was.
Yeah, but the dude who runs like Mono Burger, what's his name? Like Kurt
something.
Kurt.
Yeah, he's a fucking maniac.
He's a dictator, bro. Like literally, like when he was like training, you know, like Dexter, when Dexter tried to work at Mondo Burger, he was like, "You can forget about your family, your life is Mondo Burger." Like, bro, this guy is insane.
It's hilarious. So this man is like over the top about just some fast food restaurant.
Yeah, and he was a better like a villain because that villain, he was just like, he's this like over the top psychotic capitalist that's willing to kill people just to get like a restaurant shut down that's competing with them. While the villain in Good Burger 2, she's really just an annoying businesswoman. That's all.
Just
she
an annoying
is.
businesswoman that's, you know, is the sister of Kurt. It's not interesting at all, and
I feel like they probably wanted to make her more psychotic like her, but I felt like they just played it too safe. Is what I'm trying to say.
they did because what made Kurt so good is like he said the over the top shit like your life is my bird, and he tried to kill people. Like it's fucked up, but it's memorable. You remember that stuff after you stop watching it.
The thing is, they could have done it because like kids nowadays are so used to that shit.
And also with them playing it safe too, isn't Good Burger 2 trying to appeal to the millennials anyway? Isn't that what they're trying to do? So like, why should they be scared about like what's risky and not?
Yeah, and the thing is, like Gen Alpha, they could definitely appeal to Gen Alpha because, like I said, they have a fucked up sense of humor.
Yeah, I just don't understand like why they try to play it safe, because all we got was just some generic businesswoman that wasn't funny or interesting. It was just forgettable.
Yeah, it was just very forgettable. She's just like a greedy businesswoman. There's really nothing like special about her, you know. But yeah, I just think they could have made the movie have some like darker elements like the first Good Burger had, you know.
First Good Burger, you know, had that like kind of edgy sense of humor.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, they were able to be like edgy without actually like being offensive. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I felt like this Good Burger, I felt like they could have done it, but you know, like we said, they just wanted to play it safe for some reason.
Which, you know, changes the human. That's why the movie's so forgettable. Actually, I think that's the best way to explain the movie, forgettable. You might watch it one time, but you'll just forget about it and watch the first one and remember that one more.
Yeah, and you know, and like I said, like a lot of people like the movie, but we just didn't like it, and now you know the reason why.
Yeah, it just wasn't. I just thought it was forgettable and tried too much to appeal to, like, you know, the 90s kids with like all the references. It has no identity. That's the best way to describe the movie. Lack of identity, lack of like comedy, and just
bad pacing, bad characters,
weird story, and just a forgettable film.
Exactly. And also like I said, lack of jokes, because they could have created like a lot of funny jokes, especially with like Ed owning the restaurant. But that was just a big missed opportunity. Like they literally could have had a chance to make some great jokes that could have turned into like memes, possibly. You know?
Yeah, I guess on the topic of jokes, there are two like gags or jokes that did make me laugh.
Yeah.
The first one is the orange soda.
About this movie, we should get into the pros as well.
Yeah, the orange soda, the Keenan and Kel reference. That is actually I smiled at that when I.
Oh, I love orange soda. I do. Oh, I like that, son.
Because it was a very subtle reference with like the orange soda, but I think it was funny. Subtle reference. It's not like the ones in this movie.
I'm trying to remember. I watched like some of the episodes on YouTube for free because I think you can still watch all those like all of that episodes and
you can
episodes for free on YouTube. I think they're all free on YouTube. I think.
No, the reference is subtle though. It's not like the other ones that'll be like, look, that was in the first movie. It's a subtle reference that only like Keenan and Kel people will understand.
Oh man, it's just this is bringing back so many memories because I remember all these like funny Keenan and Kel episodes about them doing like all sorts of stupid shit.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
I think we need to
man.
talk about that like another time on this
Someday.
show. But,
Yeah.
and I guess
I'll
another
definitely
one that
do
made me laugh. I thought it was more just for ironic, but Young Gravy. Just
Yeah,
showing
Young
up.
Gravy.
That was kind of funny.
Yeah, Young Gravy was in the fucking movie. Oh
Like in the
man,
context of the movie, it makes no sense, but out of context, it's pretty funny
he's
just to
just
see this
there.
guy just show up.
He's just there in the movie for some reason. We need to check out the song. How does it go? Like we're grooving or something?
We grooving.
We're grooving. I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty cool to have him in there.
Yeah, but those are about the only two stuff I can think of that really put a smile to me. Everything else, it was just
They had a few celebrity cameos in the movie. And also, do you remember the part where like Ed's just like, maybe we get some celebrities to like endorse, the burger or something, and then it just shows like literally like just a bunch of cameos or something from these like random celebrities. Like I didn't even know who any of them were.
I don't know. Maybe I don't keep up with modern day, but I didn't know like hardly any of those people.
Like literally, I thought like, okay, who's this guy? Who's that guy? Who are these?
Are these, like,
I just
TikTok?
had no clue. But I think that was a really dumb scene because they literally just took all this footage on their phone and it just didn't really match the movie. Like
It
honestly,
didn't.
the whole movie just feels like a fucking video. To be honest, it just feels like
It does. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like a movie.
It just doesn't. I wish they would have gotten like the I guess like the look and the style of the first movie. You know how the first movie has that sort of style to it.
It's kind of like well, has a. I know what you mean, but I'm trying to
Like
think.
I would say like an older style to it. I wish they would have recreated that older style.
Like a classical style.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like instead of like the audio being perfect, the audio is just kind of fucked up because like in the okay, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but I just wish more movies can do this. Like the audio sounds more natural, like they're in a room.
Yeah,
I like
exactly.
that kind of stuff. Like I know it's fucking weird, but I like that kind of stuff. There's actually a movie that's coming out recently that takes place in the 70s and it looks and sounds like a 70s film.
Yeah, which I wish more movies did that. That's amazing.
Exactly.
But
I just hope one day, hopefully one day, if there's like a 90s tribute film, hopefully we can get
make it like a 90s film.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't want like the sound to be like perfect. I want the sound to be like you're in a room.
Like
you
in a
know?
room, like a lot of 90s films.
Yeah, like in those 90 movies. Yeah, I just wish they could have done something like that. Which, I mean, I understand why they didn't do it, but the thing is, I just wish the style looked a little more cinematic, if that makes any sense. Kind of
Yeah,
like
the
if you watch
presentation. It didn't just.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and also the beginning of the movie, like, it was like Ed singing. Ed just like starts singing out of nowhere.
honestly, I hardly even remember the opening. Like, that's just how forgettable it was. Like
Exactly. Like we're just trying to. We should have just rewatched this before.
I ended up rewatching, but even like 2 rewatches, I just like hardly remember it.
It's that's how forgettable it is because like after I watched it, I immediately said, okay, I gotta watch the original and see if it's just a nostalgia.
I'm gonna
And-
rewatch the original right after this again. I love the original.
Yeah, and I rewatched the original recently, and it still holds up very well.
It's funny. It's like it's goofy, but like the jokes, were clever and
Yeah.
characters were interesting. The plot, it's not like anything crazy, but it's fun and like said the antagonist, he's so over the top, but you love it because of that. It's an
Yeah.
unforgettable film. It's a
Yeah.
memorable movie.
And the celebrity, well, actually, there was just one celebrity cameo in that movie. That was Shaq.
Shaquille O'Neal, yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah.
And
yeah.
that one was just him like eating a burger. And at least I know like Shaquille O'Neal like
Yeah, who
obviously in the
doesn't know?
90s. Obviously in the 90s he was peak, but he's still like recognizable. to
Oh
this
yeah,
day.
exactly. Like even when I was a kid, like everyone knew who Shaquille O'Neal was. Like, okay, I just unlocked a memory. I remember one time I was watching the movie on this exact same tape with one of my friends back in the day, and so there's a scene where when Shaquille O'Neal comes up, and my friend was going crazy, like Matthew, that's Shaquille O'Neal. I'm just like, wait, what? Because I'm a fucking nerd. I don't know anything about sports. And I was just like, oh, okay. Because to me, that was just a basketball player they love. but my friend was just like, bro, you don't know who Shaq is? You know, he was going nuts. He was like, you
He was
don't
going nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I know who he is now because I'm cultured now, but back then I didn't know.
And obviously now he's in much more movies and stuff now. Like I mean, he's the guy who owns like Papa John's now. So.
Really, Shaq? Wait, hold up. Shaq owns Papa John's?
I think he owns Papa John's. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Holy shit!
After the guy got canceled, he took over. He's like the new spokesperson for Papa John's. Just getting back to Good Burger 2, I have a rating system. I go on like scale to 1 to 10. I think I'm gonna give it a 3.
Yeah.
It's not a bad movie. It's not the worst movie on earth. I think there's much worse movies I've seen. Turtles. Anyway, Turtles 3. But it is a bad movie. It's just
right here.
get that shit out of here.
We need to talk about this one day. Turtles.
We're gonna have to talk about that. Why I think it's the worst.
I feel like this is an interesting perspective because, like I said, we didn't grow up in the '90s. You know, we grew up in like the late 2000s and early 2010s, but we were still able to consume like those '90s content. So I think this is a way more interesting perspective.
Yeah, because we love Good Burger.
Yeah,
this movie's great, but it's just this one.
Yeah, it's just I feel like if we actually grew up in the time where like this movie like peaked, it had its big peak. I feel like we would be a little more biased to it. You know, like don't get me wrong, we love the movie, but I wouldn't say it's something that we're like super nostalgic for because it's not necessarily our time, you know, which is ironic for me to say because I got a lot of tapes and retro stuff in the bag, but it's more like retro stuff is more like a big interest for us, you know, because even when we were growing up, it was kind of considered like Good Burger and shit was kind of considered pretty old even during that time. So
maybe like the movie was just really made, but like I said, if the movie was gonna be made for that millennial group, like I said, they should have not played it safe and still took risk like they did.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But we could say we do have some nostalgia towards this movie. We do have nostalgia.
I mean, I grew up with it, like in elementary. I mean, I found a DVD of it, and I started watching it, and I loved it.
Yeah, and I was still stuck in the dark times, man. Like, my family was still using tapes. We were still using VHS tapes in, like, 2012. I wanted to get more into, like, these, these like revival and reboot films and TV shows. Like I know like lots of people already talked about it, but I just want to get into it real quick and talk about like the origins of it real quick before we end.
All right.
Yeah, but like I said in the beginning, we kind of mentioned how like it really started with The Force Awakens. Then after that, it just like exploded. Just a huge big load just went on the film industry, and honestly might be a permanent staple, unfortunately.
Yeah, and watch it, and I guarantee you in the next 10 years or so, people are going to start cashing out on 2000s media. And
honestly, I don't think it's going to change till our generation gets in there, or at least like the millennials or whatever, because like these big companies aren't run by young people. They're run by like greedy old businessmen.
Old corporate people. Yeah.
Exactly, because like look at the writer's strike. Like these like people who run these companies, like they don't give a fuck about creativity. They give a fuck about money. Like they don't care. Like they don't care if the product's good or bad. As long as there's publicity and money involved, they'll do it.
And I get it. Like money is the main priority, but like you could tell that they just do not give a shit.
Yeah, they don't care as long as they can like pump some shit out and the audience will eat it up. That's all they fucking care about. The thing is like I really miss it when these companies took risk on original like projects. I think that's one.
Whether it was good or bad, like it was still risk.
Yeah, it was still a risk. I'm sorry about that. Okay, my camera might fuck up, so I'm just gonna turn off my camera for a little bit because my camera's probably gonna fuck up later.
All right,
I'm gonna turn off my camera. But yeah, man, it's just like I really miss when they took risk. Like, yeah, they'll have a shitty movie here and there, but you're still doing like original projects. You're still like trying to like bring something new to the table.
Exactly.
Instead of like doing like the millionth idea. I mean, like the same thing over and over again. The reason there should be a revival of any show or like movie is if it's necessary. If it's necessary,
like if it ended off on a cliffhanger or like it got canceled like abruptly, that's the time to do it.
Yeah, that's the best time to do it. And if they're gonna do a sequel to something, I think the best thing to do instead of like just waiting years later, it might be best just to do it maybe a few years later, kind of like with the Rocky series, because the Rocky series is only like a few years apart. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
that's
and
the
do
decision.
something with it. And
Do something different
the
with
Rocky
it.
movies are a good example too. You had like Rocky Balboa, which was a pretty satisfying conclusion to his story.
Yeah, then we get into like the Creed movies.
Which I consider those like both sequels, but also kind of like its own thing, just depending
Mhm.
on which one. But that's a story for another video.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Like when you're making a sequel, it really just has to be like its own thing. It has to stand on its own as a movie. It can't just be a tribute to the first movie. Yeah, you could put in some
yeah,
references here and there, but it has to stand on its
like
own.
I said, there's nothing wrong with having a tribute to a movie, but like give it its own identity.
Exactly. Like the Rocky sequels, like Rocky 2, 3, 4, and every sequel has its own identity. It can stand on its own.
You remember which one. You see Mr. T,
Yeah.
you know which one that is. And a lot of like older movies, you wouldn't even know that they were tributes. The first Indiana Jones movie, the entire Indiana Jones franchise is actually a tribute to old school like 50s shows. Like
Oh
that was
yeah.
it was a tribute, but it's become so like unique and great that it's become like its own thing. Like it still
Exactly.
has that tribute in them, but it's its own identity.
Kind of like Rick and Morty, how like we all knew in the beginning Rick and Morty was a parody of Back to the Future, but later it formed its own
It
identity,
has
you
its
know?
own identity, has its own
Yeah,
fan base now.
exactly. Like I think it's fine. Like here's the thing. If you're going to take an existing product, like instead of just like rehashing the same story, just take that clay and just mold it into something else.
Mold it into something new. You have something that exists already. Mold it into your own thing.
And
Give it an identity.
another example is like the Joker that came out in 2019. Like they decided to give Joker like a brand new origin, a brand new story, you know?
Yeah, exactly, and it worked perfectly. It's one of the best films I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was the highest grossing rated R film of all time.
Yeah, and it well deserved.
Yeah,
I
you see,
said do stuff like that.
yeah, that's what happens when you like. And here's the way, in a way, like doing something like that, it's still kind of original in a way, you know. Even though it's kind of like taking existing product and sort of like reshaping it, it's still kind of like an original thing in some weird way, you know. Like
Exactly,
if they
exactly.
want to rehash products, just do something completely different with it that people would like.
Exactly. I agree. That's the thing to do, and it works too. Like I said, Joker, you said it was the highest rating R-rated film. It can work, but these
Maybe
companies just don't want to take risk.
now, one thing I want to mention, maybe they could have done that with Good Burger because I remember like I was talking with a few friends and they said maybe they should just make a movie with like IShowSpeed Speed and KSI and they just go around doing all sorts of stupid shit. Like I don't know if that will work because IShowSpeed Speed he doesn't really go off of the script; it's more like improvised.
And he's still
But
pretty like relatively young. I would say
yeah,
like
yeah, he's like
he's the same age as me. But
yeah, he's like roughly around the same age as us, like 18 to 20, right?
yeah, but I mean, I could see him, getting in the future, but that's another story for
Yeah,
him. But
yeah, I don't think so. But that's just an example of like, you know, creating something new. And hell, maybe they could have created like a whole new Good Burger. Maybe they could have done
yeah,
that.
make a new good, but with like new people. Like you could have like references to like maybe like Ed and Dexter, but
Well,
maybe have some.
maybe not like an exact sequel with new characters, but sort of like something different, you know. Don't even call it Good Burger, you know?
Yeah, call it like something else. You can have it like, be inspired off of Good Burger, but
Mhm.
have it like another restaurant story, but it's not Good Burger, it's like an entirely new
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah, like an entirely new thing. I think that would be like really interesting if they would have done something like that.
Yeah, there's just so much to say on like how hot like Hollywood is now. It's such a weird mess, right? It's been for like the past almost 10 years now. It's just
I understand it's really, really hard to be creative, but sometimes you really just gotta like, you know, do the millionth ideas. And like, here's the thing: if you pump out shit, at least it's interesting shit, and people will talk about
yeah.
it and want to touch it, maybe eat it. But you know,
Yeah, so they have these studios have that creative spark, but they don't want to take risk anymore because they know like these nostalgic things are easy money, so they'll just do that.
and it's sad. It's sad because You know, it's just you got, and this is something I want to mention real quick before we end this. Like, if they keep going this route, we won't have any films that define the decade. Because if you go back to like the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, you can find any film from that time and say, "Wow, this film defines this decade." Go to like the mid 2010s, like 2015 to 2019. There's no film that
There's
defies that
exactly
decade.
none. Because
Nothing.
like you can go in the 80s. What's a thing from the 80s? Indiana Jones. The 90s. What's something from the 90s?
Fight Club,
Fight
The
Club.
Matrix,
The Matrix. And then you go to the 2000s, and you have Lord of the Rings, and you have all these movies. Like you have something
Exactly.
from Harry Potter from the
Yeah, Harry
2000s. You have all
Potter,
these things.
the SpongeBob movie.
Yeah, exactly. And it defiled like that era, but with the in the early 2010s, it still kept a little bit of it, but like I said, 2015 onward, it just the same old shit. Like, just bring it back.
Well. To be fair, the 2010s did have an identity. Like that was like the big decade for like superhero movies. So I mean,
Yeah,
we'll give it that. Yeah, I mean, you could pretty much defy it with like Marvel movies and
Marvel and like all these superheroes, because that's what revived the superhero genre. But
yeah,
that's the only one I can think of,
yeah,
really,
the
that comes to mind.
superhero genre wasn't as big as it was in the 2010s. Like in the 2010s, especially 2019, that's when Endgame and Joker came out.
Endgame came out, but even I mean in the 2000s it was kind of there, but it was mainly only really Spider-Man that was like the one
Yeah,
that hit off. But now you have all these films, but now they're
yeah,
even getting worse now with the 2020s. They're just cashing in on it now. It's just
yeah. It was just like in the 2000s, it was kind of like Spider-Man and Batman, but now it's just Marvel movie after Marvel movie.
I guess
Yeah.
we'll have to see, what this decade gives us.
Yeah, like
But
what happens by like 2027 or something. Shit,
yep.
by that time I'll be 24.
Yeah, like no
2027.
kidding.
I'll be
But
24. Holy fuck, we'll be old as shit.
we're gonna be old as shit. Hopefully they actually, Hollywood actually gets good again. But we'll see.
Hopefully. Yeah, by 2027, how old would you be?
Well, let's see, 2027. Because you're only older than me by like 2. I'll be like 22, 23. I have to look, but I'll be just old as shit. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. You'll be around. Like,
I'll be past 21. I will say that. I'll be past
Okay.
21.
Well, to be fair, you're not like fully an adult till like 25. To be fair.
Yeah, that's when your brain develops. But
Yeah.
I
mean, we'll still be
for the
kids
kids out
technically.
here that are watching this video, you can do your own research. Stay in school, but
Yeah. All right. Well, we better wrap this up.
yeah,
now.
I think we'll wrap this up. I guess before we end it off, Matthew, is a meat patty a thing?
Look, dude, a meat patty's something. You said
A
nothing.
meat patty is something. If you say nothing on it, I'm gonna give you a bun. You know what? If next day I come into work, if someone asks me give me a cheeseburger with nothing on it, I'm gonna give them just the bun. I'm kidding. Don't actually do that. If you do that, you will get fired. Do
Oh
not
yeah,
do that.
no, do it. They would love it. If they say, "Hey, I want a burger with nothing on it," just give them nothing.
Yeah, give them nothing. Alright, but that's gonna wrap up the episode. Thank you to Move Out Productions, Matt,
Oh, no
for
problem.
being on the episode. We will probably have another episode with him on. Like, just let us know. But yeah, that's gonna wrap off the video. Thank you for watching, guys.
All right. See you guys later.
So I know me and Matthew made this video months ago, but I just wasn't really happy with the final video that came out. I kind of rushed it, and that's why the video that came out a couple months ago was like very long and had a lot of filler in it. So I wanted to go back and edit out some scenes that were like too long or just didn't have really much to do with the movie, along with showing actual movie clips of what we were talking about. I will still keep the original upload available for anyone who wants to watch it, but I would say this is like the more refined, better version of Season 1, Episode 1 of Cinemore. And that's pretty much it for today's video. I will be uploading an update video regarding what's next for Cinemore reviews, as well as the channel for the next few months, shortly after, but that's pretty much going to be it for today. I want to give a big shout out to my artist Jersey Loading for creating the new icons for the channel. I like to call these the Emores. You'll be seeing these more often in videos. Go ahead and check out her art. She's a really good artist, I know. I also want to give credit to Stella Oddity for making previous art such as this OC. I will be, still working with him for more artwork and all that. Make sure to check him out too. Give him the love he deserves. He actually makes animation videos, so make sure to go check those out. And that's pretty much gonna be it. I really appreciate you guys for watching this video, and that should be it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.